Hi, I'm Sofia Bernardi, mindset and business coach supporting ambitious new and rising coaches to master their mindset, create an aligned and profitable strategy, and grow a six-figure business and beyond using the Rising Coach method. I built a $500,000 business by the age of 24, and in this podcast, I will teach you the psychology, strategy, and energetics to do the same. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to another episode of Rising Coaches with Sofia Bernardi. Today's episode is a juicy one because I'm interviewing my dear friend and fellow masterminder, Pandora. Pandora is a visibility and business mastery coach, bringing her unique flavor of strategy meets spirituality to female coaches, creatives, and visionaries ready to scale to the next level. Drawing on her 20 plus years experience in communications and working for some of the UK's leading brands, along with 7+ years of building her own multiple six-figure business, she knows how to get brands and businesses seen and heard, which we all know, ladies, is super, super important. I shouldn't say just ladies, there's definitely men that listen to this podcast as well. Strategy meets spirituality brings energetics to the business space, helping to create conscious leaders that impact not just individual ecosystems, but the entire collective. And that is exactly what Pandora specializes in. Her mission is to help female entrepreneurs access and accelerate their magnetism to create next level success, impact, and wealth from their corners of the world. She is honestly incredible. And in this episode, we talk about what it really takes to grow and scale your business. And you learn that through hearing Pandora's story, but then also her perspective and beliefs on the qualities and traits for who entrepreneurship is really for, and how you can embody that within yourself. So enjoy this episode. I know you will absolutely love it. And I would love to hear from you all on Instagram what you think of the episode, as it always helps me when it comes to finding incredible guests for you all so that you can rise as coaches. Enjoy. Hello, Pandora. How are you today?
I am really good. The sun is shining and I've dropped my daughter off to school, and this is my non-client and non-daughter week. So I'm already feeling the spaciousness and I just feel like it's going to be an epic week. So I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
I love that perspective and mindset, to be honest. And we were just chatting off mic about the time zone differences. So it's so funny, you're starting your day and I'm finishing my day. But I've had a great day and I'm doing well as well.
I love that. I've had a great day. You're going to have a great day. Yeah. It really works for me. My OBM is in Australia. And so I don't get I don't get asked anything throughout the day. So when I'm in work, I'm like in work, and then I maybe catch up kind of later on in the evening. She might have some questions for me, but if not, it's the following morning. And it works really well for me because it means that I'm very much undisturbed, which I love. Such a loner, such an introvert, but yeah.
Oh, amazing. Well, I'm super excited to speak with you today because you and I have a lot in common, but I also know that the way we explain things, like we use different terminologies and things like that. So I'm super excited for my audience to get to know you at a deeper level today and just speak into, your wisdom and your knowledge. So I always love, though, for my guests to kind of give a bit of a background on their journey, because it just paints such a nice picture onto like why you are the way you are, who you are, and all of the things. So did you want to share a little bit about your journey and how you actually became a coach for female entrepreneurs?
Yes, I would love to. I call them the turning points, the things that get you to where you are today. So I did PR, broadcasting and marketing at uni, but I didn't finish my degree. And quickly kind of got a job in PR, mostly for sort of fashion and beauty. I've always loved stories. I've always loved brand. I've always loved, entrepreneurship ultimately, and being around people who have businesses. And then I kind of got my Saturn return when I was about 27.
And for those that don't know what that is, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, so it's, a big cycle where you know, often your Saturn return is kind of, you start to question everything that you've created and done in your life, and or there'll be some kind of big moment where it's like you have, you know, your dark night of the soul, and it's ultimately you kind of, you know, moving into a new cycle, new beginning. And for me, it very much felt like that. I was kind of like in a really awful relationship. I'd got to like the top of my, well, not the top of my game, but I was pretty high up, director level, team of 9, earning good money, owned a house in London. And I was just a bit like, is this it? I don't feel good. All the things I thought I wanted don't feel good. So I retrained. I'd always been interested in health, body, wellness, and I'd had an eating disorder when I was young. So my relationship with food was somewhat still a little bit tricky at that time. And I trained in nutrition, and I did kind of a 3-year course on the weekends. And it really transformed me. I specialised in intuitive eating at the time, so I did an intuitive eating course with the founders of the original book. But the more and more and more that I was seeing clients, it was really clear to me that food, it was nothing, there was nothing going on with food. Actually, food was the coping mechanism for what was going on in their lives. And so I did like an online transformational coaching course, and I just felt like it was this just natural gift that I had to see where people weren't living in the way that they wanted to live. Like, they weren't living their values, they weren't in relationships that felt like divine union. You know, they didn't love their jobs, and you know, all of these things were impacting how they were eating. And it really quickly kind of got me into this into the kind of coaching industry, and I was sort of, you know, blending the two. And then I wrote a book on intuitive eating and living in May 2019, because my daughter was a year old. And once that happened, it was really interesting. I just suddenly started getting a lot of coaching inquiries around business. You know, my marketing was good. Clearly my business was doing really, really well, and scaling year on year. And I just had a lot of people in my community that were like, do you do business coaching? Because I want to learn from you. And at that time, I sort of knew that the book represented almost like the end of that chapter of my coaching practice and the beginning of something else. And that's kind of, I basically spent the last sort of 4 years really crafting, you know, what I'm about in the business space. And that is spirituality meets strategy. So I use everything I've learned about marketing, communications, storytelling, and the actual kind of activating the confidence to show up online. You know, there's a whole thing that I worked with women, you know, with their relationship to themselves and their body. The sort of spirituality piece, which is, you know, who are you being in the world, you know, are you living your purpose and meeting your potential? So it's really juicy and delicious, and I love what I do.
I love that, and I can hear that in your energy. And you know, it sounds like you have a really well-rounded and holistic approach to how you coach people. Like you said, it's not just strategy, it's not just mindset, it's not just, you know, any of those things. It's really that nice balance. And would you say though, like in your personal opinion or experience, that you end up like it's more the spiritual side of things, or it's more the strategy, or do you think it's a 50-50 split, or what comes up for you there?
I kind of think it's a 50-50, and it's really, really depends on the person. So I get a lot of people come to me who are like, yeah, I'm kind of need support with my strategy. So we'll start with that. And, you know, we work together for a year or 2 years, and they come out of it, and, you know, the testimonials like, I've met more of myself. I've connected with this spiritual, you know, essence, and, you know, and it's not what they expected. It's not what their objective was. And I think similarly, people come to me who are deeply spiritual, but are very much in their feminine, very much in the yin, and they're not bringing the masculine structure and bringing the strategy, which is actually the foundation for them to be even more in that feminine. So they feel like they're constantly sort of here, there, and everywhere, feel solid. And that's, I mean, I'd say probably the majority of my clients would be that, and then would be that 50-50 split. And I find that even, you know, in my coaching calls, we could be talking strategy, and then I'll be like, how does your heart feel about that? Like, let's just wrap it up. Like, does it feel good? Do you feel alive? You know, so I feel like I always bring the flavor of, you know, and the texture of both. those conversations. Yeah.
I find myself doing the same. Like, does it feel aligned for you? Like, does it feel good? Because at the end of the day, like, there are lots of strategies that work. There's not always necessarily a right and wrong answer. And that's where that energetics or alignment piece comes in of does it actually feel good? Because when it does, that's actually when it's going to work. And you just shared something before when you speak into this around who are you being? And that's like one of my favorite questions to ask myself and my clients is like, who are you being right now? Because that's everything really at the end of the day. You can be doing all of the things, but if who you're being in that process doesn't feel good or isn't congruent or isn't aligned, then it's not going to work, and people can feel that, right? So I find that to be such a key piece. And just a little sidetrack for a moment, because I'm curious if you find this. Do you find that some people that come to you that are very much in their masculine, that's the, you know, when they then find the feminine, that they then you have to actually help them to love the masculine again? It's like they bounce too far to one side instead of seeing that there is a place for both, like both are important, because that's definitely something I've witnessed people do. Like, so many women like spend so much of their life in their masculine that then when they're then opened up to the feminine energy and energetics and all of that, then they're all of a sudden like no to all strategy and masculinity, when actually that is important as well, and it's about balancing them. Do you find that?
Yeah, I do. And I think, you know, the majority of people who come to me who are in that masculine are really in the programming of struggle. You know, they're so used to things being hard and feeling hard, and not necessarily because it is, but just because that's their kind of their baseline. You know, the dysregulation or the trauma that they're holding has just meant that they have been in survival mode for such a long time. So I find that they, you know, when we're healing the nervous system, we can often feel really, really tired and for long periods of time, because it's like the body's like catching up, like, oh, I don't need to be in struggle anymore. Okay. And it's, you know, so then it's kind of, okay, we get to explore that feminine, but know that, like you say, there's still that masculine structure that's supporting them. And I would say for myself, it kind of is akin to, you know, when I went freelance, when I, you know, left my job and was sort of building my business, but doing some freelance PR stuff on the side, it took me a really long time to find my rhythm. You know, I remember like the first 6 months, I would like literally be at my desk at like 8:30 and I wouldn't leave my desk. It's like, well, you can because you work for yourself now. And then I went the other way where I was like, should we go for lunch? Should we do this? Yeah, I'll meet you at 2:00. And suddenly I was like, shit, I'm not actually getting any work done. And then, you know, you find your rhythm of like, okay, this feels like a really good place where I'm taking action, but I'm also giving myself the space and time to be, you know, in my feminine, to have, you know, space and creativity and playfulness. And I think that we can all learn, you know, from that kind of story of like, it is about finding that sweet spot, and also knowing that there will be certain seasons of your business where you've just got to take a little bit more action. But then there are also seasons of your business where you can sit back, lean back, and kind of, you know, take a softer journey with it. So I think that we're simultaneously always playing with, you know, both of those energies. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely feel you on that. So that's really interesting. You speak a lot about visionary women. What is a visionary woman in your mind?
For me, a visionary woman is someone who is devoted to what it is that they do and the impact that that has, not just on them, but the ripple effect of that impact. So there's like a real change that you want to see in the world. You know, I think there's a difference between kind of business owners and visionaries. Like, visionaries for me are the purposeful women who are like, this is the change I want to see, and this is how I'm going to make that happen. So, you know, it's that real legacy piece. Like, this is what I want to be known for. This is the legacy I want to leave behind. And that for me is that visionary piece. You know, the ones who keep moving, even when it feels hard, the ones, you know, who, yeah, you know, are there and open for the solutions, and not just, oh, this is hard, so I'm going to give up. You know, I think there's that real, you know, and I see that in, you know, the groups that we are in. It's like everyone's like, I've got something to say, and I'm going to keep saying it, you know, and I love that. I love that.
Yeah. I think what comes up for me there is like, they're the real committed people. They're the ones that in the tough times are going to keep going because they are impact driven and have a strong vision and mission in focus. Like, whereas if you, like you're saying, the other type of person that isn't so visionary, like more just business owners, when things get tough, because then their heart isn't really, really in it, it's a lot harder to sustain those challenges.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, hands up, wholeheartedly, I believe that there are many people in this world who are just not built for entrepreneurship. You know, like I've worked with hundreds of women now, and you know, I think there's many factors to what makes a good entrepreneur, and that's why I always say, like, success is the person that you become, because you've really got to meet the depths of yourself. Like, you've really got to do the inner work, inner love yourself, to build the sovereignness and the leadership, the self-leadership that it takes to be an entrepreneur, because it's not easy. Like, it's not for everyone. And I think it's really, I don't think people speak about that enough, of like, if you're finding it hard, maybe it's just because it's not meant for you, you know, or there's like a whole other thing that you need to be diving into, which is who you're being, who you are, who you want to be, you know. Because it's, you know, it's just not always easy. And I think it can look, you know, shiny disco ball, that it is, but I think, you know, I've really had to meet a lot of myself to get to where I am, you know, and there's so much more that I know that I get to meet. I'm not afraid of it, because I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, you know.
Yeah. So what would you say are some of those qualities for people who are meant to be entrepreneurs? Like, what have you experienced? Like, what are the personality traits or behaviors or the way that they think and feel things that shows you, like, that they are meant to be entrepreneurs and that they have what it takes to, quote unquote, succeed?
Yeah, I think it's that devotion piece, you know, being really connected to what it is that they do, really being really connected to that why. Courage. You know, you've got to be a courageous person. You've got to be able to take that leap again and again and again and again. And I think you've got to be someone who can learn to not make things mean anything about you, which I think is one of the biggest, hardest things. But really, you know, in a way, disconnect yourself from the business, but still know that you are connected to the essence of it. You know, it's like, my business runs independently of me. Obviously, I am my business, but it's not all of me. And I think that's probably that thing of like really understanding that you're a multi-dimensional being. And so, you know, yeah, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a mum, I'm also a partner. You know, I'm also very much a wild woman. I'm a medicine woman. Like, I really live my values outside of my business, which I know gives me the safety to expand in my business. You know, I think there's kind of that real, the more of you that you can meet, the safer that you feel in your being. And that's always going to support you when you're, you know, having to run a company, run a business, you know, run people, lead people. So yeah, I would say those kind of traits, you know, certainly for myself and what I see in my clients, are the things that, you know, it's like, you get knocked down, you get back up again, you know.
Yeah, I full-heartedly agree. I noticed that in my clients as well, and in my own journey, like when I reflect on like, what is it like, because, you know, sometimes I have these conversations with my clients that I'm not necessarily like any better or any more special. So when I like really just reflect on like, what is it I did and how did I process things, I find it is that devotion piece of like not making situations mean anything about you. Certainly in the beginning I did, but was willing to like work through them. And now, like, yeah, having that complete detachment piece that you are not your business, you are so much more than that. And if you normalize challenges, like it's a part of life and it's also a part of business, then like you're not going to have this mind drama around it and you're going to be able to move through it. Like, you know, you and I are in us, you know, the same container, and we hear it like even at 6 and 7 figure levels, like it's just different problems, right? But it's the way in which it's handled that's different. It's not the removal of problems.
Yeah, totally. And something I speak about a lot, and I've been speaking about it a lot recently, is the trade-offs piece. You know, you've got to be someone who's like, okay, there are going to be certain things I have to compromise in order to get to where I want to get to. And again, I think it's because of the narrative that has been kind of sprinkled over the industry, that like, you can hit 7 figures with ease, like just build a couple of funnels and, oh, there you go. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, you can't just be in the energy of the thing that you want. Like, and you know, I have a lot of trade-offs, you know, I have experienced lots of trade-offs in order to get me here, and I'm really okay with them. Like, I don't validate them or try and, you know, need them to be validated by anyone. I'm like, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I'm okay with that. And it means that my mindset's really sharp, because I know that I've made that decision, knowing that it's going to support me to get to where I want to get to, right?
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm so excited to introduce you to my brand new offer, Rise with Events, the ultimate program for planning, promoting, and presenting highly impactful online events to scale your coaching business sustainably. In this program, I'm going to be walking you through the online events formula, which is key to running sustainable and fun events that sign clients on repeat. With my proven formula, you'll learn the mindset necessary for a successful launch, the exact sales process I use in my own business, and how to create impactful events that align with your lifestyle and goals. You're going to learn everything it is you need when it comes to marketing, sales, and events so that you can grow your business and help more people. I have been running events from day one in my business, where I signed my first clients and now make anywhere between $30,000 and $80,000 in a month. I want this for you too. I have had several clients now who have made $5,000 from an event, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 per event. And this is all what is possible for you too when you join Rise with Events. You can learn everything it is you need to know about this program. If you join now, you're going to be getting both the live version of this program, which I'm only going to be doing once, and you get lifetime access to the course as well, which you'll get immediate access to when you join now. We are currently on early bird offer, and I would love to support you. Head to the link in my show notes to learn more about this program, and feel free to DM me with any questions you may have. I hope to see you there.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. And you and I have witnessed one another in those moments of having trade-offs and difficult times, right? It's a part of it. And it is those trade-offs that have gotten us to where we are. So what's your relationship with hard work? Like, what do you believe around hard work?
Sometimes I work hard, sometimes things feel easy. I mean, I have to say, the last couple of years, the majority of what I'm creating has felt easy, but that's because I'm so freaking regulated. Like, there's no drama in my life. You know, I don't create stress, you know, in any situation. And I think that therefore, even if there are challenges, it's like, okay, cool, right, we've been here probably before at some point, or in a different way. So what's the solution? You know, I would say that I work hard, I work smart. Do I work hard? I don't think things feel hard to me, but yeah, I work 10 till 4 every day, you know, apart from Fridays, so 4 days a week. I mean, that's, you know, it's a pretty nice number of hours to work. Sometimes I work on the weekends if I need to and I want to. Yeah, for me, I sort of, I don't think that it has to be hard, but I don't think we can say that it's always easy. You know, I have to have hard conversations, but I wouldn't consider that hard work. I just consider that, you know, a difficult conversation that I have to have as a leader running multi-six-figure business. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
And do you feel like your relationship with working hard has shifted? Like, what did that look like in the beginning versus now? Because I feel the same, in the sense of I can barely call it hard work because I love it so much, and there's been so much practice and momentum behind it. But in the beginning, it absolutely took like a lot more of me to get it to where it is feeling easeful now. Like, for example, my first $10,000 month felt nearly impossible, and now it's like it's a bare minimum given. Like, and so, you know, what was hard is now easeful. Like, have you found that on your journey as well, knowing that like so many people that listening are in the earlier stages of their business?
Yeah, definitely. And listen, I was definitely more in my masculine in those early stages. You know, I believe in the early stages of the business that you want to be visible, you want to get out there, you want to try things, you want to really like explore all that, you know, your business has to offer and that you can experience within the business. And so, I probably was, working longer hours then, but I was also, building that foundation and looking to kind of to scale. And that was definitely made easier by, getting my first coach. Like, that definitely allowed me to hit the 10K month mark. But I think, I think why I teach the masculine and feminine so well is because I had a very dysfunctional relationship with the masculine. I was only in my masculine. And so I've understood now, okay, there's a journey and a space for both. And, those early stages can feel harder. That's why I always say, like, get support in any way you can, because, you're just navigating a lot for the first time,
Yeah, 100%. And what role has spirituality played in going from the masculine to the feminine? Because I know you speak a lot about spirituality. So like, what has that journey looked like for you? And how does that, play a role in your business?
Totally. So, my relationship to spirit, I'm a shamanic practitioner. I'm on the shamanic medicine wheel. What it's given me is there's such trust in divine timing, such trust that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And when things do fall hard, like, I don't create the drama. I'm like, okay, I know I'm safe. I know I'm supported. I know that everything is working out for me. And that's one of my things, like, everything works out for me. I'm just lucky like that. And so when there are roadblocks, instead of being like, I'm wrong, I'm failing, and take it on me, I'm like, cool, what am I not seeing here? Like, is this maybe a sign that I'm not, I'm not where I'm meant to be? What other door do I need to maybe open? What am I not seeing here? So it takes a lot of the drama out of my life, because I'm just such in trust. And that is, that can be hard because we can't see spirit, we can't see, the quantum. But for me, it's there and I'm connected to it, and I have that, the universe has my back. It's been that's, in those times of difficulty. And trust me, not just in my business, I mean, personally, huge things happening. It's just like, you know what? Everything happens for a reason. What's my lesson here? I see life as a gift, even when bad things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the magic that spirituality has given me.
Yeah, wow, I love that. I know that you are a mother. What is it like navigating motherhood in business at once, and what advice do you have for other mums out there?
Yeah, I think, this is where the conversation on trade-offs, comes through. Like, there are trade-offs. It's meant that I've become very boundaried in terms of how I work, when I work, and also kind of knowing my capacity, on the weeks that I do have my daughter. They're also my client weeks, I'm holding a lot on those weeks, but I purposely do that because then, like this week, there's very few calls. I can get into the depth of, like, creating content or, creating my next lead magnet. I can really go into stuff, and I get a lot of space for myself. So, this week will be such a delicious slow week for me. There'll be a lot of cacao, a lot of meditation, a lot of those things. And then I just know that next week, when I've got my daughter again, I might not get to do as much of that. So I'm, again, really okay with that. I love being, we co-parent. So I call myself sort of, there's not really a term for it. I'm not a single parent, but I am a single person household with a child. But we have a really good dynamic, and, it's just got really clear on, like, this is what I want to achieve. What's the reality of that? So I play with kind of being a realist, also, allowing some, scope to be unrealistic. It's like, there are a certain number of hours I'm going to get when I've got my daughter, it's just truth. So yeah, and I love it. I love, she's just starting to ask questions of, like, so what do you do, mummy? And, I talk about what I've done in my day, and she's like, so you help ladies, you help women. And, it's cute. I know that I will be a good role model for her, and showing her what's also possible. Everything that I'm doing, I'm building for her, like, to build, you know, some generational wealth that was just, you know, has not been passed down to me. We just, you know, weren't in that position, and now, you know, I'm in a really different position to where my parents were at. So yeah, you know, this is the ripple effect, isn't it? Of get to leave behind, but also the consciousness piece. Like, you know, my daughter's such a spiritual little bunny, and I know that I can hold that with her. You know, I can hold her in in her own spirituality. That for me feels really exciting.
Yeah, I've got full body goosebumps when you said that she's a big part of your why, and that like everything you do is for her, right? And that's so powerful. And I don't yet have children, but that's already part of my why as well, like wanting to give my future children like a different life than I had growing up, and to show them what's possible. Because, and you know, I wouldn't change anything for the world, but I've had to do so much inner work, and I'm sure you have too, to like shift beliefs or like limitations that were put on us as children. And I just again, I think everything will happen as it's meant to be, but I want to do the best I can to support my future children to not like grow up with all of these limitations that they need to then resolve. So I totally feel you on that being a big part of your why, because I was going to ask that, like, how important is she in regards to everything it is that you do? And it sounds like she's a huge reason for that. So that's really special.
Absolutely. And I believe that children are kind of our biggest spiritual endeavors as well, because, you know, they are mirrors. And so you really get to look at yourself, and, you know, sometimes she'll do things and I'm like, okay, this is me learning patience, you know, because she isn't doing what I want her to do, or isn't wearing what I want her to wear. And, but, you know, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, you're learning so much more about yourself, and, you know, dissolving some of the things that you're still holding through them. And yeah, you know, we are so much more conscious now, you know, consciousness is rising collectively. And I think it's so beautiful to sort of think about what, you know, what our children the world that our children will create with that kind of level of consciousness.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. You know, I'm really big on shadow work and all of those sorts of things. And, you know, they say that your children are your biggest mirrors, like your intimate relationship, your children, and your business. And so it's so cool you having like a little version of yourself. You would always be being reflected back, like, you know, where you're holding yourself back, and be able to move through that. So I find that so cool to be able to do that. So as I said, like a lot of my audience are coaches starting out in their business. What would you personally recommend to coaches, you know, when it comes to growing their business, in terms of like the foundations or the starting point on what they should focus on?
Yeah. So number one thing for me, being a kind of visibility coach, is that visibility piece. You know, there's many things that sit underneath that umbrella. There's, you know, getting really comfortable with showing up online, getting really comfortable with talking about what you do, getting really comfortable with selling, you know, selling what you do, not just informing people, but actually, you know, learning how to sell. And then there's that kind of visibility piece of like collaborate, connect, get in the rooms that you want to get in, you know, around the people that you want to be around. Like there's that real, like, how much more could you get visible, you know, and try new things and network. And I think at that early stage, I was here, there, and everywhere. I was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, because I knew that it was that I was building my brand in that way. So definitely that kind of visibility piece. And I will say, you know, at that stage, daily mindset work, because, you know, all the stories will be present, and the sooner that you can, you know, really bring practice and presence to your mindset, you know, the easier it's going to be to create the change, you know, that you want to see in your world. Yeah, I think that the mindset piece is interesting, because I work a lot with people who, you know, they come to me because of the energetics and the embodiment, and that really, you know, aligns to them. But actually, that because they're so in the embodiment piece, that they're forgetting that the mind is, you know, also something we need to be working on. So yeah, definitely visibility, definitely mindset. And I think at those early stages as well, like really getting into, the sort of celebration or the energy of celebration. Like I wish I'd have done that more. And it's something I get all of my clients at every stage to do. That. Every Friday we'd celebrate. You know, even if they think there's not a celebration, I'm like, there it is, tell me what it is. Go deeper, go deeper, go deeper, because there's always a celebration. And the more that we can get into the energy of like, I'm growing, I'm moving forwards, even if it's just a tiny, tiny, tiny step, you know, that's kind of, you know, what we focus on expands. Yeah, and I love kind of seeing women be in the celebration of themselves.
I love that. Celebration was such a hard thing to learn in the beginning. It just felt so much easier to not celebrate. Like so used to just being so hard on myself. So fully agree with you there in terms of like prioritizing that, because what you celebrate expands, right? So it's such a good energy to be in, just to be able to acknowledge what you actually have in front of you and be grateful for that. Because if you can't be grateful for what you have now, how could you possibly hold more? Because it's just like an amplified version of that. So fully agree. Now, just to start to wrap up, I would love for listeners to get a deeper insight to you and where you're at, right? So what's a recent challenge that you have personally overcome? And also, what are you focusing on right now to take yourself to the next level?
Yes, I think they kind of blend beautifully, because the biggest challenge that I'm in right now is allowing the thing that I need to do in the business to scale to the next level to be really simple. Like there's been part of me that's like, well, I've got to do this and this, and it's like, no, that's not it, is it? I've just got to do that one thing. Like I've just got to focus on this one thing. So I have 3 masterminds for every stage of business. And I've been kind of going, well, I might do this launch and I might do this launch and I might do this launch. And I sat down and was like, okay, vision, like, where do I want to be? I want to be here. Okay, how could I do that? And it was so simple. It's like, everything leads to the masterminds. Like, just until those masterminds are full, you're not doing anything else. Yeah. No other launches, no other build, no other, just everything leads to the mastermind. And it's funny because, you know, our coach, Reflective Action, is like, and that's really simple, right? So what's your relationship with simplicity? And I'm like, oh yeah, because things should be hard. Like it still shows up in my world, you know, like, well, you know, I'm going to have to do all the things. Actually, it gets to be really simple. So my challenge has been of late, like, oh, okay, how can I sit with this actually gets to be really simple, and it's going to be this like quite mundane, like simple task that I need to do and keep doing in order to get there. So yeah, that's where I'm currently at. So I have my 3 masterminds. I do have a builder offer called Magnetic Visibility, which is a sort of self-study, and there is kind of monthly calls. But yeah, so that's me, and that is my business model right now. There's not a huge amount of newness, but we're ultimately kind of just optimizing everything that we've already got in place. Yeah. Wow,
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing transparently. It's so funny. I'm trying to remember like this particular quote, but it's like, it's something along the, I'm butchering this so much, but it's something along the lines of like to make something simple can be quite complicated, because you have to really know what it is. Like you have to, you know what it is you're doing essentially to make something simple. So I always like really I'm in awe of people that are able to explain and articulate things simply and do things simply, because it means they really know it. So I think that that's so cool that that's something you're moving through. And I have experienced the same. Like we're just so hardwired to want to overcomplicate it, because that actually comes more natural to us. And for that reason, my whole word for this year is simplicity. Like it's literally my word for the year is simplify and amplify, which makes me think, do you have a word for the year?
You know what? I was just thinking that. I was like, did I create a word of the year? I think it was expansion and optimize. So I had 2. I knew that this would be a year. So I launched an additional 2 masterminds in September of last year. So I knew that this year was very much like stick with that business model and really make that work. But it wasn't about creating, you know, a huge amount of newness, even though my mind wanted to, you know, keep making me do that. But really optimizing everything that we've already got. So I knew by optimizing, I would meet my next level of expansion, and we're so well on the way to that. So yeah, it feels good.
That's amazing. It's been such a pleasure interviewing you. Where can everyone find you and connect with you?
Yes, so the best place to find me is either on Instagram at Pandora Paloma _ or it's pandorapaloma.com. And I would say if you head there, then head to the self-leadership page on my website, where there's like a whole bunch of free and low-cost resources to support you in your strategy and spirituality.
It's amazing. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, then I want to invite you to join Rise to Six, the mastermind for ambitious rising coaches plus service-based businesses growing their business to consistent $10,000 months and beyond. This is the exact mastermind where I teach you the mindset, strategy, and energetics that have supported me to build a multiple six-figure business in under 2 years. This mastermind has both a group and one-on-one component where I basically become your best friend and am with you every single step of the way to grow and scale your business. If you are a listener of this podcast, I know you will absolutely love Rise to Six. Click the link in the description to learn more and see if this is the right fit for you. Otherwise, come and DM me on Instagram at Sofia Bernardi. Until then, I will see you in next week's episode.